Let's see, what else happened on October 4th? Let's see. Gregory Peck is going to get married. Gregory Peck marries Greta Kukkonen. And this is a picture of them together. I don't know if that's when they had got married. And even though she looks young in all these pictures actually. Let's take a look at a couple of these pictures. She's actually 31. Gregory Peck is 26 when he marries, this Greta Kukkonen. And so what's great about this, they're actually going to get divorced later on, but they had 3 sons. Ultimately, that's what marriages are for, right? It's when there's children. When there's children, that's when marriages are relevant. It's like 2 people got together and that's it. That's the end of the story. There's no, procreation. Well, 2 assholes got together and, man, they're doing a lot of fucking or not. Maybe they're just arguing. Maybe it's like a shitty marriage, another shitty marriage without the kids. Because you had a divorce. Gwen Stefani and Gavin Rossdale divorced in 2016, October 4th, after 13 years of marriage. And so I actually looked into Gregory Peck. So this happens 1942, right? Marries Greta, becomes Greta Peck. They're going to have 3 sons, Stephen, Jonathan, and Carrie Paul. And I guess that was the picture here. And so therefore, they're a family. They're a family. She gave him 3 sons. He's going to live forever because of his children. And then they're going to get divorced, which, is sad. But I was wondering to see if that second marriage is going to be like that boring, stupid, just 2 assholes, being fucking selfish pricks. Oh, you guys are together and you're always together. Okay, good for you 2. Who gives a fuck? He's going to get married to Veronique Pisani. And they're going to stick it out. So even though this marriage is only going to last for 13 years, it produced 3 sons. But when Gregory Peck married Veronique Pisani, that marriage lasts for 48 years. And 2 children. There's 2 children. Cecilia and Anthony. So he got a daughter out of the deal, plus another son. So Gregory Peck has 4 sons and a daughter. And 2 good marriages, or 2 fruitful marriages, we'll say. You know what I'm saying? Gregory Peck. Do we want to look at Gwen Stefani? No, we don't. Let's get to some history. Okay, so portrait of Ferdinand. This is Johann Banner. Johann Banner, and then this is Alexander Leslie. Alexander Leslie is going to, fight in the English Civil War. And so that's exciting, right? The English Civil War. But before that, these are Swedish generals. And these Swedish generals are going to defeat Ferdinand II. And just, on a very superficial, like, okay, he's not the most handsome guy, but he seems, he's got the uniform, he's a military man. This guy seems alright, kind of a chubby face, but a proud mustache, proud long hair. This fucking guy, I don't like his face. I don't like how he's dressed. He's like a soldier, right? He's got the uniform and shit. There's a little sword there on the side. But what's up with that puff? What's with this puffy puff? It's like, hey, hold on, my uniform isn't complete. You haven't given me my little puffy puff. And then where's the helmets at? I mean, I've seen helmets like kind of look silly where they got like the little metal plate like in front of them, which I guess is to protect the nose, which actually that's not a bad idea. But a puff? Does that protect his neck? That's just for showmanship. That's just for style. And it's like, does that look good? Did that look good back then? People are like, hey, hold on. My uniform isn't complete. Get my puff. And so why am I talking about these guys? This is the Holy Roman Emperor. It's kind of crazy that Napoleon is going to conquer the Holy Roman Empire in a day. A single day, the Holy Roman Empire is going to get conquered. And you have these 2 guys. I'll just have to talk about this real quick because my dogs are pissing me off. Every time I get to start to talk and then we start to... Johann Banner, and then this is going to be the Swedish. The Swedish is going to conquer the Holy Roman Empire army. And they're going to do it at the Battle of Witskock-Brandenburg. So this is an October 4th day, 1636. Sweden defeats Ferdinand II. So these two guys represent Sweden. This guy represents the Holy Roman Emperor. Why is this? This is part of the 30 Years' War. This is going to be the turning point. This is like Saratoga, the U.S. Revolution. Saratoga was a turning point. And then you also had the turning point of the 30 Years' War is going to lean towards the Protestants. So it was Catholics versus Protestants. The Catholics were doing absolutism, totalitarian rule in all their lands, and they were cracking down. And then you started having Protestant rebellions, and then this conflict, which was just in Bohemia, and some of the lands around Bohemia, is going to kind of engulf all of Europe. So the Catholics are just a bunch of oppressor molesters, right? The Catholics are being a bunch of oppressor molesters for about 1,000 years. That's all the Catholics did, was just murder a bunch of people. The Spanish Inquisition, they even killed, Protestants and shit. People that read about Jesus, interpreted the words of Jesus the way that they understand the words of Jesus, but if it was against Catholic doctrine, then they weren't a good enough Catholic. So they went after, Jewish people and Muslims and people that were not Christians, but the Catholic Inquisition was also against other Christians. And I know Catholics, if you were to ask them, are they Christian or Catholic, they would say Catholic. They would not say Christian, which that's, talk about taking the Jesus Christ out of Christianity. We need to put Jesus Christ back into Christianity. If people could actually read Jesus, listen to his words, and then do what his words were saying to do, if people are going to call themselves Christian, they must live by the philosophy of Jesus Christ. I cannot repeat that loud enough, frankly. There's so many things that, a lot of Christians don't do. I mean, just treating your neighbor as yourself, right? That's the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. Go through the little gate, because the path of righteousness is very thin. Turn the other cheek. Love thy enemy. Don't even have lust or hate in your heart. The last will be first, and the first will be last. The last will be first, and the first will be last. That which you do to the least of my brethren, you do unto me. He who is without sin, cast the first stone. Jesus just has so many revolutionary quotes. He also confronted the authorities. So where sometimes the Catholics are saying, we're the authority. Well, Jesus confronted the authorities, the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He confronted the religious authorities. He also believed in freedom, and he also said that, you should care about justice and freedom and faith and mercy, and forget about the petty shit. Who cares about the Tom Petty shit? So the Battle of Witskock-Brandenburg, this guy is going to get defeated. Ferdinand II, that's the Holy Roman Emperor out of Bohemia. Remember, Napoleon conquered the Holy Roman Empire in one day. I want to say Voltaire had that famous quote that said that the Holy Roman Empire was neither holy nor Roman nor an empire. Just all based on, smoke and mirrors. It was a house of cards, and it got swept away in a day. But before then, in 1636, Sweden, this guy, what's his name? Alex Leslie? Because this guy is actually pretty cool. Alexander Leslie, the first Earl of Leven. He was born illegitimate, raised as a foster child. He was a Scottish army officer. He advanced to the rank of Field Marshal in the Swedish army and a major leader of the 30-Year War in Scotland. Became Lord General in the command of the army of the Covenanters, a privy councillor, Captain of Edinburgh Castle, Lord Balgony, and Earl of Leven in England. He commanded the army of the Solemn League and the Covenant, and was senior commander of the army of both kingdoms for 5 years. Leslie served in the 30 Years' War, the Bishops' War, most of the English Civil War, fighting primarily in the First English Civil War. Alexander Leslie would live a long life, dying roughly at the age of 80 or 81. So Alexander Leslie and Johann Banner are going to defeat the Holy Roman Empire. They're going to smash the Holy Roman Empire in the Battle of Witskock-Brandenburg. This is significant because the Catholics were winning. This is now a turning point. Now the Protestants have the momentum. It was like when Ukraine took all that land in Russia. You know, basically it's like Ukraine is just kind of like being like Jesus, just getting his ass kicked, and they're not going and doing any invasions. I mean, it's got a nuclear weapons, right? So it's like, shit, if we try to take some of their land, then that's going to be like a nuclear weapon sort of situation. And then Ukraine took some of Russia's land. Ukraine took Russia's land. I mean, that's fucking phenomenal. That's incredible. So Saratoga was a turning point, and then the Battle of Wittstock was a turning point as well. So I want to mention that the way that the battle actually went down was pretty remarkable as well, because it was like a 17,000 army versus a 25,000 army. And the 17,000 army, the Swedes started chasing the Holy Roman Empire's armies. And they were going to do this 3-point flanking maneuver. So they're going to attack the army in 3 different ways. They marched 7 miles in order to attack them from the rear, and then they had a pitched battle in the front. And so this guy, Johann Banner, was in the front, and they were being attacked, and they were almost overwhelmed. They were almost overrun. But then eventually, the two flanks hit them from the rear and just smashed the shit out of Ferdinand II's army. Ferdinand II's army is now on the run, and then they gave chase. And they said that wasn't typical back in that era either. So they gave chase, and they just smashed the shit out of it to where the Holy Roman Emperor didn't have any goddamn army to speak of. It was just, smashed in the smithereens. If they weren't all killed, they were all scared. They were all, demilitarized, de-weaponized. The army of 17,000 defeated the army of 25,000. So the Swedes got their balls back. They got their reputation back. They're now a military might, a military leader. And the Holy Roman Empire, those motherfuckers were going to force Catholicism on anybody that was, in their lands. Bohemia, that's the land of the Catholics. And then Roman Empire. Why are you in Bohemia calling yourselves Roman? That's fucking crazy as shit, isn't it? Even the Vatican being in Rome is kind of crazy in itself. Rome is part of Italy, but somehow the Vatican, it's like its own little city that's inside of Rome. It's kind of crazy how the Roman Empire died too, and then so many people use the Roman, sort of legacy. You got the Eastern, the Byzantines, the Eastern Romans, the Holy Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Catholic Church. So, the 2-day Battle of Corinth is going to end with a Union victory. Mexico becomes a republic, 1824. Portugal becomes a republic, 1910. All these things happen October 4th. Sputnik 1 is going to get released by the USSR. That's the first artificial satellite around Earth. Peter Stuyvesant is going to establish the first fire department. This is Peter Stuyvesant. He's got very interesting, strong features, right? But this was New Amsterdam, so this is the Dutch, but it's in modern-day New York. The first fire department, Peter Stuyvesant, S-T-U-Y, Vesant. So Stuyvesant. 4 men were the fire wardens for the chimneys. So the first fire department, that's important, but it's going to say it's not. He wasn't the first to establish the fire department, but they don't say who it was. Thanks a lot, Google. But they're saying that he appointed the first fire inspectors. He established a rattle watch in 1648 to address the issues of fire. It's a crucial step in fire safety, laid the groundwork for future fire services, including the later development of volunteer fire companies and eventually the New York City Fire Department. So you had fire inspectors in New Amsterdam. They had the authority to impose fines for fire hazards such as improper chimneys. The Rattle Watch was men who patrolled the streets to identify and alert others to fires. A fire could fuck up a whole town, especially back in the day. One little fire in one little house and now the whole goddamn city's fucking gone. So Stuyvesant's efforts also included prohibiting the use of wood chimneys and thatched roofs and mandating the use of fire buckets, hooks, and ladders. So there you go. I don't know why they're saying it's not the first fire department. If it wasn't Peter Stuyvesant, then who the fuck was it? This is October 4th, 1648. It's also incredible we got that date. Hey, when did we get the first fire department? October 4th, 1648. It was in New Amsterdam, which was, formerly New York, is what it was. The Dutch had New York, and then they. Merry WikiLeaks Day. That's another October 4th thing. Wang Mang. We haven't got to talk about Wang Mang. And who is Wang Mang? Wang Mang is an emperor. He was an emperor of China, and then the Red Eyebrows are going to topple him, overthrow him. They were named the Red Eyebrows because they painted their eyebrows red. It was a peasant rebellion. This guy was supposed to be a good guy because he ended slavery and had land distribution, but he wasn't able to enforce either one of these decrees. And so at the Wei Yang Palace, the capital is going to get sacked. Wang Mang is going to go down. Down goes Wang Mang. And he actually goes down big time, like fucking, let's see. Let's hear what happens to Wang Mang. The rebels sacked the capital on October 4th, 23 AD. Well, that's just a couple years prior to Christ being crucified. In response to young men within Chengyan also rose up, stormed the Wei Yang Palace, the main imperial palace. Wang Mang died in the battle at the palace by Du Wu, as did his daughter, Princess Huang, the former empress of Han. After Wang Mang died, the crowd fought over the right to have the credit for her having killed Wang, and then tens of soldiers are going to die in that fight. Hey, I'm the one that killed him. No, I did. You did? No, I did. So I guess because without elections, whoever kills the king becomes the king or some shit. Then they're going to cut his body to pieces. That's just like that that Prince Daffoyd Griffoyd, the Prince of Wales. He got drawn and quartered in a very gruesome fashion, very much like William Wallace did, by the same fucking King Edward I. They're going to cut Wang Mang's body to pieces. His head was delivered to the provisional Han capital Wayne Qing to be hung on the city wall. That's what they did, the Pequot War. In the Pequot War, they took the heads of the Pequot and they put it on a pike and they put it right outside their town's gates to scare, everybody else or whatever, to see how fucking sick and gruesome these motherfuckers are. So Wang Mang, his body's cut to pieces. They're going to have his head on top of the city wall. Then there's angry people that took it off the wall. They started kicking around like a soccer ball. And then somebody cut out his tongue and ate it, which, okay. And then, get this. If this is to be believed, eventually Wang Mang's head is going to be preserved, kept in a court vault until it was destroyed in a fire during the Jin Dynasty. So they were able to preserve his head, even though it was getting kicked and he was decapitated, right? So his body's chopped up in a bunch of pieces. His head's getting, put up on a wall, so it's getting roasted in the sun. It's getting kicked all over the ground. Somebody cut out his tongue, and yet somebody was like, hey, no, we need to save the rest of this head. And then a fire, see how important fires are, and fire prevention is? So the Jin Dynasty, they needed that Peter Stuyvesant. If the Jin Dynasty had that Peter Stuyvesant, then none of this would have ever happened. None of this would have ever happened. So let's see, we got Gregory Peck, we've got Wang Mang, we've talked about Sweden destroying the Holy Roman Emperor during the goddamn Battle of Wittstock. Not Woodstock, but Wittstock in Brandenburg, so that's northern Germany. So the Swedes now got some reputation in northern Germany. The Holy Roman Emperor, goodbye Ferdinand II. And now say hello to Alexander Leslie and Johann Banner. There's a couple other things here I want to mention. It's October 4th is also Cinnamon Roll Day. So that's fun, right? Hey, it's Cinnamon Roll Day. Who celebrates that? Sweden and Finland. They probably celebrate it because of this fucking battle, right? I mean, they're like, man, remember when we defeated the Holy Roman Empire? Them rat bastards, they thought that they could fuck with Johann Banner and Alexander Leslie, but nope, we showed those bastards who the... Let's eat cinnamon rolls. Let's celebrate this day forever. Day of Peace and Reconciliation, Mozambique, by eating cinnamon rolls. That's how we're going to celebrate this day forever until the end of time. And we're going to eat the cinnamon rolls because they're delicious. Peace, Day of Peace and Reconciliation for Mozambique. Lesotho, Independence Day, 1966. This is World Space Week, World Animal Day. National Black Convention meets in Syracuse, New York. Abraham Lincoln makes his first political speech at the Illinois State Fair in 1854. The first laws drafted in Plymouth Colony, Massachusetts, 1636. New Orleans Tribune, the first black daily newspaper forms. University of California, founded in Los Angeles, 1800. The foundation of Rosario in Argentina, 725. The Fort Wilson riots, 1779. 2016, Gwen Stefani and Gavin Rossdale divorce. Portugal becomes a republic. I think I've covered all this. I think I got all the dates, so there you go. Fucking October the 4th, huh? Marry WikiLeaks and Sputnik and Tom Brady and marry goddamn Wang Mang being deposed day. Jujin, old Jujin. That's what they called Wang Mang. Jujin, that was his nickname. It's better than being called a mouth whore. Who is that mouth whore? No, Pouch Mouth. They called her Pouch Mouth. The ugly Duchess. What was her name? It could have all been based on a lie. But, she was a fucking hideous... It was Alice in Wonderland. The Duchess from Alice in Wonderland was based on a real person. What was her name? Oh, Margaret, Countess of Tyrol. Margaret, Countess of Tyrol. Second day of the Battle of Corinth ends with a Union victory. So Rosecrans and U.S. Grant defeat the other fucks. There's like 500 fucking Confederates were killed. I got a precise 473 Confederates were killed with the Battle of Corinth. So there you go. It's Alexander Leslie, Johann Banner. Merry October 4th, everybody. Merry October 4th.